Hi there, it's Catherine. And first and foremost, I am so glad to be here with you. I am hoping that this is coming through. I'm at the Hyatt Regency at the airport in Charleston, South Carolina. So I have a few things I want to share with you today. First and foremost, the time change. So I've been doing this weekly vlog for quite a few months. I can't even remember when I started it, but I think it was at the beginning of the year. Um, and I love doing these. I love being able to share with the community. Hi, Carrie and Stina, and a few others are coming in now. Irene. Oh, hi, Irene. It's so good to see you from New Zealand. So, I've been doing these vlogs and my reflections for quite a while now, and I don't even know why I started it on Sunday mornings at 11:30. In my mind, that seemed like a good time to start or to do these, and I have to say, hi, Marilee, hi, Harriet. Um, But I got an email just last week from someone, and I wish someone had said it to me much earlier that Sundays are time that a lot of people go to church. And I'm like, yeah, why didn't I think of that? So, mostly because my own spiritual practice is a lot of meditation, and I do that every single day. And so it's not just Sundays. So, for whatever reason, as soon as I got the email from someone, I instantly pivoted it and changed it to 5 p.m. So it will now be 5 p.m. from now on. And I want to thank you, know who you are, who sent me the email. Thank you so much for pointing it out. And so I'm happy to be here with you at a new time. And that time will keep going from here on out. Um, and Carrie says it's a great time for her in England. She's on her pump now, which is perfect, which is great. Which actually brings me to another topic that I want to talk about today, which is pumps, but not exactly pumps, but I want to talk about swelling. So I'm in South Carolina. You know, so much of what I do and what I talk about is related to everything in a entire, it's almost like a mobile. In a mobile, if you touch one piece in the mobile, it affects everything. Well, that's so for what has happened. So I am in South Carolina because many of you attended our last event in October, Heart to Heart. And we'll be having many more events. We're going to be having, we have two, what we used to call symposium twice a year, but we're going to be adding in lots of other events. Why? Because I'm in South Carolina studying how to best put on events virtually. So I've spent the past week at something called the virtual event for virtual events, except it was live for a small group of us and it was virtual for everyone else. So there were about 1,000 people registered virtually, from all over the world. And there was a small group of us, maybe 23 or 4 or 5 of us, who have been in Sage Productions. The people who run Sage Productions are Blue and Barry. Blue is the tech whiz, Barry is the production whiz. Barry is a woman and Blue is a man, and they're married to one another, and they're just delightful. They're delightful in so many ways. They're also brilliant, totally brilliant. So they had a live production company, which was a production company that produced live events for many very well known speakers. Um, and then the pandemic happened. And in February and March of 2020, their whole, literally overnight, their whole business tanked because all of the live productions got canceled. And originally for a couple weeks, and then months, and then a couple years. So they did an incredible pivot. They did, all right. And Blue Melnick is brilliant, just a genius. They both are incredibly, incredibly brilliant. They moved into an online environment and found that they could produce the technology that would connect all of these, not only people globally, but also create the technology to have the breakout rooms, to work with Zoom so that Zoom was part of it, and that it had a platform, which is a technical way to make all that happen. For those of you who came to our heart to heart event, you got a feel for what it is and how fabulous it really worked. And so the opportunity to come to South Carolina was an incredible opportunity because I am part of their um, uh, membership group, much like the membership group that we have in Tribe. Their membership group, though, is very expensive and an incredibly wonderful community of people like me and like Blue and Barry who are making a difference in for their people. I just had a wonderful lunch with a few folks from that we were all together. One couple, they work with home care. So they help home care owners who are the folks that send home care out to people. Many in our community have home care, CNA, nursing assistants, when you can't, when for whatever reason you're homebound. And we have quite a few in our community who are. So they have a community. And anyway, many, many, many different from people who teach courses that are self improvement courses to a couple of guys who teach people how to fly drones. Fascinating, fascinating group. So, as usual, my stories tend to include a lot of pieces. So, hang in there with me. Um, so, that was impetus enough for me to fly. Now, I haven't flown mostly in years. I had one short trip with a course I was teaching about a year ago, but other than that, I haven't flown for years before the pandemic because my mobility, because I had, had a significant decrease in my mobility. So I didn't fly for years. And one of the things that we've had in terms of conversation is flying with lipedema and lymphedema, since I have both. So I need to be so honest about everything that I discover in this process because I had a really tough time with swelling. So let me tell you what I did, which is because I hadn't flown in so long and uh, I've been using my pump. That's why somebody wrote about the pump and I said, "Oh yeah, I have to talk about this." So I've been using my pump at home. I do self MLD. Um, I have manual lymph drainage sessions once a week, usually once a week. Sometimes it can be a little longer. So I wore a lot of compression on the plane. I wore my Solidea. Then I put over it, I have Velcro wraps. So then I added the Velcro wraps, and I used my arm sleeves. There were two flights. So I went Boston to Reagan in DC, then Reagan to Charleston, South Carolina. So there were two flights, each flight about 2 hours. Easy, wasn't very difficult. But what I know about flying and lymphedema is that every time you go up and then land, the bariatric pressure is such that it has some unintended consequences, especially for those of us with lymphatic disorders. I've had these conversations over the years with flight attendants, and of course, flight attendants deal with it. They don't have lymphatic disorders, but they deal with the swelling. And one of the conversations that I'd had over the years was, what do you do about it? And several of them had given me different things that they do, and I had actually adopted some of them. Well, I didn't realize it, but once I got here and sort of settled in, this and I took off my compression and sort of got settled in, the swelling went crazy. So everything, I like literally blew up. And what was especially impactful is I ended up with truncal swelling. The swelling from here to my belly was crazy. And I kept saying to myself, what did I eat? Could I have eaten anything that would have caused this much swelling? What on earth happened? And then I realized, compression from the ankles up to the waist, and compression from here down throughout all my arms pushed all the fluid. And I share this with you because I think it's important to know this for anyone who is planning a trip. So, as luck, I don't even call it luck anymore. I feel so blessed. We have the directory, as you know, for doctors and different providers. An email came through from a manual lymphatic drainage specialist, a CLT, in South Carolina. What are the odds of that happening? And over a few days ago, as I was going through my email, which has been very intermittent, I have to say, the days they start early in the morning and they've gone to, over several days, they were till midnight. So I wasn't much on email. But this email did come through, and someone wanted to, sign up to get into our directory. And when I saw South Carolina, I went, oh my God. So I immediately contacted her and said, can you do an MLD session? And she was significantly far away from Charleston. But she sent me back an email and recommended someone more locally. And the only time I could do an MLD session was this morning, Sunday morning, because I was in the workshop every other moment. And lo and behold, there was someone who was available, and she gave me an MLD session this morning at 10, and it was a 10-minute Uber ride from the hotel. So I feel very, very, very blessed. Hi, Jan. Who is that? Janet? Hi, Janet. Good to see you. Hi, Stina. Hi, Gail. Um, um, so what else? I want to say, I, I obviously I contacted Leslin right away when I finally figured it out. It took me a day or two to figure out what was going on and then sort of put the pieces together. And one of the things that has happened, you might hear a little bit of it, but I'm having some breathing issues because of the excessive fluid in the trunk area. So it's resolving, but it's definitely worth noting. So I am going to do, I'm going to have Leslin and I do a webinar, probably a fireside chat about this, because it's important enough that I think I want everybody to be aware of it, because I certainly didn't put the pieces together until I was, dealing with the symptoms. I'm glad to say I'm okay. I'm also glad to say that I am flying home tomorrow, and Leslin gave me some recommendations. It's definitely not to wear double layer of compression, so that's not going to be an issue. And I also called my doc and called the lymphedema clinic at home so I can get some treatment as soon as I get home. So but quite a good learning, quite a good understanding, and knowing living with a chronic disease is something that always takes attention and knowledge. And again, that is the benefit of having a community. So I can share this with you so that you can know that this is something you want to be aware of. So I think that's the good news. And also, I am thrilled about some of what I've been learning and what you're going to see unfold over the next, really, over the next forever, more now. But for sure, we're going to start implementing some new opportunities. And that's exciting. And so, will I ever stop learning? No. I am a lifelong learner, and it's amazing. And first of all, it was wonderful to be live with all these folks that I've been working with for all year. Mostly, I joined their community in April, so it's been 6 months. And many of them I know because we're all online together, because that's how we do our learning. And to be live, we went, so there were a number of people stayed over because it ended last night, which was fabulous. We had a party last night, and I stayed for part of it, not all of it, because they were doing a walking tour of Charleston, and not my high suit. They wanted to get a wheelchair for me, and I said, no, I don't think so. I think I'll go home, go to bed. So, anyway, through all of this, a number of people stayed over, and we all met and went to a barbecue place, which was fabulous, just fabulous. And you know, the amount of food was obscene. It was so much, and I had little bits of it. I had two two pieces of. They sell it by the pound, cooked by the pound. I had two small pieces, and I was stuffed with coleslaw and collard greens. So I got to have a southern barbecue, which was so much fun. But more than that, we just sat for hours talking and talking and talking. And I learned so much from the folks who are in the same trajectory. which is how do you serve the people who come to your community? And that is the bottom line. And so, as I said, I'm a lifelong learner. Um, oh, so Julie says, so really glad you're sharing this. Let me put this up. Julie, you're sharing this. Thank you so much. I haven't been on a plane since, and I don't plan to. This is such good information. Yeah. Thanks, Julie. Yeah, this is how we learn. And this is the benefit of being a part of a community, and especially this community, which is such a wonderful, wonderful place to learn from each other. So, so I think I'm like over time already, and I have more to talk about, but to be continued, really to be continued. I do want to say that we have a CSIG coming up that's starting a week from tomorrow, the 21st, which is Thanksgiving week. So we are going to start the CSIG on Thanksgiving week for a very particular reason, which is that often for many of us, getting through the holidays and having our food remain sane and loving and supportive and enough without being too much is really, really, really a good thing. So we are having CSIG, which is the Coaching Special Interest Group, in order to support everyone through the holidays. So look in your email for something. I want to say welcome, Dolores. Dolores is coming from Guatemala. Welcome. And we have, let's see. I want to say Stina says, what a great idea to plan an MLD session as part of travel. Yes, very, very, very important. And there's a whole bunch of others, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now and say, how do I want to wrap it up? I think I'll share with you what Barry and Blue, at the end of whatever they do, they turn to all of us and say, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. So they're very funny and very loving and just brilliant, as I've said. But that's the thing I want to say to myself and each and every one of you. I was talking to Jessica and Clint. They're the couple who run the home care agency thing. And they work with home care agencies, hundreds of them throughout the entire country. And Jess said to me, how hard it is to maintain and manage lymphedema and lipedema. She knows, having worked in the industry, and because, they're the people that interface so directly with those who are homebound. And so many of our ladies have experienced that. She said, how do you maintain it? It's a lifelong maintenance process, and you have to stay on top of it all the time. And I said, yep, that is the benefit of community. And that's what we do day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, and year after year, because it is about finding a way to live a life that's totally worth living, even while having to maintain and reduce symptoms and to be able to do all the symptom management that we do. So on that note, I want to say many blessings. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And I